Hey guys, welcome to what I believe is the third episode of PPG Radio. We took a little bit of a break, but we're going to get back to those consistent episodes. Before we start, I'd like to thank our very first sponsor to the show, Toll House Cookie Dough. Toll House Cookie Dough is now pumping out new anabolic flavors like Tren Cherry and Blackberry Anavar. So, pick those up wherever frozen cookie dough is sold. Thanks to Toll House Cookie Dough for coming on the show as a sponsor. I've been a big fan of them for a long time. And I've been eating their raw cookie dough for a long time. So for all you primal nerds out there who love eating raw liver and other raw ingredients, I've been doing primal diet for, a decade. Just slamming raw cookie dough every week. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, in this episode, I want to talk to you about consistency over a long period of time. I've had like 10 conversations with athletes and followers on Instagram who were talking to me about some of their main problems with just reaching their goals. I do have a little bit of a cough, excuse me. So the story that I continue to hear over and over again is, oh yeah, I'm just getting back into this. I'm just starting this thing, or I'm on week 3 of this thing. I'm just getting back into calisthenics. I took some time off, but now I'm heading back to the gym. And what it seems to me is that people are training relatively hard. They're working hard for a couple months, maybe even a couple years, but then they're taking these long periods of time off for whatever reason. Might be due to a move, might be due to some family issues, which is obviously very stressful and can sideline training. One of the other common ones I heard is just work schedule changes where, maybe you worked 20 minutes from your house and now you're expected to work 45 minutes from your house, so it throws off your whole schedule. Excuse me. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about why this is a big problem and why it need not be as big of a problem. So as you can imagine, for even those of you who aren't that experienced in training, when we go into the gym and we do whatever we're doing, we're lifting or running, we impose a stress on our body and we warrant an adaptation. So our body's trying to adapt to the stress we're giving it, and it's getting stronger, it's building more muscle, it's getting in better shape so that it can more effectively handle that stress in the future. That's essentially the process that the body is going through. And what happens when we go through a long period of time without inducing that stress, our fitness level decays. So just like how if you don't eat enough protein, if you don't lift any weights for a long period of time, your muscle will quite literally decay slowly, but it will go away and you will lose muscle mass over a period of time. Your strength and your cardiovascular endurance works just the same. And so what's happening is you're going in and maybe for 3 months, 6 months, however long, you're working hard and you're building up all this fitness, but then you take a month off or 3 months off because of whatever, and then you're losing so much of that fitness. Now, you might not lose all of it, but you're losing a large amount of it. And how much fitness you lose and how fast you lose it is largely dependent upon individual, and I won't go into details about it now because that could be a whole nother episode in and of itself. But for the time being, let's just say when you take long periods of time off, you're going to lose fitness. And so what happens is, if you think of a stock market chart in your head, you're experiencing gains in fitness where the chart is going upwards, but then you're taking time off and that fitness level is starting to trend downwards. And so you may get back into the gym. Excuse me. You may get back into the gym after a period of time, but you've lost so much fitness that you have to spend a bunch of time just getting back to where you were, getting to the point where you can do the workouts that you were doing before. And for a lot of people who aren't who don't have, a decade of training hard under their belt. You don't have a lot of fitness built up. And so once you lose it, you really got to start from square one. So if you're, lifting weights consistently, but you're only doing it 3 months at a time, and then you take a week off here, a week off there. I moved to out of state, and so I, only had the opportunity to work out once for an entire month. You lose so much fitness when you do that on and off. And if we look at those times that you take off over the course of years, you have lost so much time and so much opportunity to make progress. And so what you really have to do is start thinking about training in a long-term sense and stop thinking about it in the sense of, I'm going to go and work out hard for 12 weeks because I'm on a 12-week program or whatever. Because, like I said before, you experience that fitness decay. And so what can you do when you reach those times where maybe it's because you're having a family problem, maybe you're moving out of state and it's a big thing, or you're switching jobs, or maybe, for a lot of you younger guys and the 2 girls that listen to the show, maybe you're strapped for cash and you can't make it to the gym. And so you end up taking a ton of time off. That's no good. You can't do that. You just can't. If you want to make real progress and you want to get as strong and as jacked and as in shape as possible, you can't be doing that. So the question then becomes, okay, what do I do? Obviously, if you're not feeling motivated, and you don't have a lot of time, it's going to make things hard. But you have to establish either a maintenance volume or a bare minimum effective volume. So essentially what that means is, let's say you're training 4 times a week and you're lifting weights and you're running and you're going nuts and you're making a ton of progress. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you just can't work out. You don't have time. You can't get to the gym. You and your significant other are screaming at each other, and so you're depressed and you don't feel like going. That's the time where you need to say, okay, what is the bare minimum that I need to do either to make progress or at the very least maintain what I've already done? Because you can work out hard 5 days a week and make a lot of good progress, but to maintain that level of progress, you could get away with working out 2 or 3 days a week. Obviously, that's going to differentiate between people and how hard you're training and how much, but generally speaking, the amount of work that you have to do to maintain muscle mass and maintain a certain level of fitness is significantly less than the amount of training volume that you need to do in order to make progress. So if you're going through those periods where you're stressed and depressed and you don't want to go to the gym, the motivation just isn't there, and it's looking like, hey, this is going to be one of those times when maybe I don't go for a couple of weeks, do something. You don't have to go in and push yourself super hard. All these cliches on social media that you see about pushing it to the limit and, you got to go in and kill yourself, brother. You got to, lift as heavy and as hard as you can. Those are silly and they're not realistic. So you can ask yourself, what is the bare minimum that I need to do? And so just as a very general recommendation, this isn't going to be perfect for everybody, but just as a blanket statement, you should go in and try and do 25% of what you normally do. So what does that look like? If you normally run 4 miles and you're pushing yourself super hard on that 4-miler, and you enter that phase where you're like, I can't get to the gym, I can't find a treadmill, it's too cold outside, I don't want to work out, I'm too depressed, whatever, run 1 mile. You can run it hard, you can run it slow, but just run that 1 mile. Okay, if normally you lift weights 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and you're entering that phase where you're starting to feel like, I'm probably not going to be able to lift for a while, or I don't feel like lifting for a while, go in 1 day a week and do something. Okay, so just do something. And it's gonna feel weird, and it's gonna feel like you're doing not that much and it's almost not even worth it. But guess what? It is worth it. Because if you can't bring yourself, for whatever reason, to do the hard workouts multiple times a week to make progress, at the very least, don't lose all the progress that you've made so far. That's what keeps people from reaching elite levels of strength and conditioning, is the long-term consistency over years and years. And what you'll find, and what I have found over years and years of training through, good times when I had a lot of free time and everything's going great, and bad times, is that if you go into the gym and just say, okay, well, I don't feel like I don't have time, or I don't feel like doing the normal amount, but I'm just going to do something, you usually end up doing way more than you thought you did, and a lot of the time you end up doing what you were supposed to do in the first place. Just go, oh, I'll just do one more exercise. Oh, I'll just run one more lap. What's one more lap? And pretty soon you've got a fantastic workout done. And so the moral of the story is, you cannot continue to take weeks and months off at a time. You just can't. But what you can do, if you're entering those phases where you're not going to work out for a long period of time for whatever reason, do some type of maintenance volume. Generally speaking, it's going to be different for everybody, and this is not an optimal recommendation, but generally speaking, doing at least a quarter of the work that you would normally do. Doing 25% of the volume intensity that you would normally do, so that at the very least you can maintain some of that fitness that you've worked so hard to create. And that way, when you enter into those times when you're feeling good and you have access to a gym and you do have time, or whatever it is that kept you from working out hard ends, you can go back into the gym and set yourself up to make more progress. I apologize that the videos are a little bit rambly, but I hope that helps you out. Please please subscribe, please comment suggestions on topics that you would like to know more about, so I can give you guys stuff that you can actually use. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.